begin, let's chant Om 3 times together. Good morning. I have to tell you about this particular topic. When I was in Australia, I thought this last talk I'll write on the retreat. I'll be practicing nicely in the presence of Sri Guruji. This is the talk that I will write on the retreat. The talk is going to be, I had it in my mind to call it Calling the Guru from Afar. What to do when the Guru is somewhere else. Somewhere else. And every time I went to try to write this talk, Baba kept appearing. So at one time I was going to go because during one of the guided meditations, and then Baba appears and he says, where are you going? Like he gestures, where are you going? And I said, Baba, I'm just going to write the last talk. And he pointed towards the meditation hall and I said, Prabhupada Baba is guiding. And he laughed and he shook his head. He was going to guide. And so then of course I dropped everything I was doing. I ran into the hall for meditation. I thought, that's all right, I'll write it later in the night. Baba called me, he had some work to do, so we did that work that night. I thought I'll write it the following morning. Same problem happened. Something happened, Baba appeared. And so I thought, oh God. God and Gurus don't want me to plan this talk. So in Australia, I just thought, let me speak from the heart. And whatever happens, happens. I took some little, 5 minutes of notes down the page, just make sure you talk about these things. And then I thought, when I go to New Zealand, I'll plan it properly. Every time I planned to do this talk, something else happened. Somebody was talking, or we had some work to do, or Baba was there, or some disciple has messaged from Australia needing some help of Guruji. So constantly something has been happening. So it seems truly the case that God and Gurus do not wish me to plan this talk for you, and rather to just speak off the cuff, as it were. So here we go.
We are all good, Baba. Guruji will not appear now. He has gone for a while.
So there's a story that Baba has written. It's a longer story, but I would go to the key points of it. So a particular king wanted to know, what is something that you can tell somebody who is happy and they will become sad? Or somebody who is sad, and that you can also tell to somebody who's sad and they will become happy. And it's a long story where many people try and many people fail. And then finally a young boy is able to answer the question. The answer to the question, the thing that makes a happy person sad if you tell them, or a sad person happy if you tell them, is you tell them, this too shall pass. And so I have good news and bad news for you. The good news is this is the last talk you're going to have to hear me give in this retreat. The bad news is that means that our time with Sri Guruji this time is, in this retreat, is coming to a close. So, two sides to every coin. And it's been so beautiful to think about the Guru-disciple relationship at the feet of Sri Guruji. We've been able to talk about so many beautiful sages, stories, ideas. And to do that with our master right here in his physical presence feels like an extremely special gift and blessing. It's been great for me. I hope it's been okay for you. But that begs the question, what to do when we're not in the physical presence of the Guru? So I woke up this morning with that feeling, and many of you I'm sure have also started to feel it. Oh God, this has been so amazing. How am I going to go back to him being gallivanting around teaching all of the other disciples? How am I going to not be with him? So that feeling comes to all of us. So I thought the last talk should be about what to do about this predicament. That we, particularly these days where we don't live in the physical presence of the Guru so much, even the monks, even Swamiji, the amount of time he gets with Sri Guruji is very minimal because Baba's constantly traveling. So I thought we could think together about what to do about that. I have some thoughts to share with you. The first thought I would love to share with you is, I didn't check this, I think it's either from the beginning of Baba's talks on the Gita, or alternatively from the beginning of Baba's audio recordings on the Divine Glories Bhagavatam, one or the other. Baba tells a story about a master and his disciple. And the master has to go away for some time. And he tells the disciple, it's okay, you just keep this fire burning. And so the disciple says, very well, I will. And days go past, and months go past, and indeed years go past. And the disciple is doing as he's being told, he's keeping the fire going. And then, after a long period of time, the master arrives back again. And he looks into the eyes of his disciple. And he says, oh God, you've become realized. I thought it's such a beautiful story. Because as Guruji constantly is telling us, to live with the masters is to live with the teachings. To follow the Guru is to do what has been taught. Not to do other things, but just do what is taught. And then the promise is that all of the fruits that we're hoping to enjoy, the fruits of being constantly in Guru company, that constant feeling of inseparability from him, will all come. So I loved hearing that story from Baba because it is the predicament of all of us. We've been told by the Guru to do something. Keep the fire of our sadhana going. Keep watching the breath. Keep doing as we have been taught. And then the Guru disappears for a year, which turns into 4 years sometimes. And then he comes back and he looks in our eyes. Next time, let him look in our eyes and say, oh God, you've come so far. So this is the first thought that I had. You know, we spoke yesterday a little bit about Buddhism, and we were enjoying some Tibetan Buddhist ideas. And there's another prayer that is very, very beautiful that I've been carrying around with me for 3 weeks. It's called calling the Guru from afar. And there are different versions of this prayer. It's a prayer of supplication by the disciple. Because you can imagine, in Tibet, many of the great teachers were in their monasteries, and yet there were many, many scattered monasteries in different places. So these great teachers would go, or the students would come infrequently, and they would get initiations, practices, and introduction to the true nature of your consciousness, or the 32 practices on such and such Divine Mother, etc., etc., etc. But they would come, they would deliver those teachings, and then the student would be required to practice, but the Guru would be somewhere else. And particularly for those who had received the most profound teachings in Buddhism, the introduction to the nature of your consciousness or mind, that is your Guru, that is your root Guru, that is your most fundamental Guru. And you might see them in a huge hall of people once in your life. And indeed there are many stories of people who met whose teacher gave a transmission kind of by mind, and they never met in person, in the body. And so this prayer was, and of course Tibet, very hilly, very mountainous, not easy to travel. And so you could really go 4 years without seeing your Guru, or longer. And so some of the great masters started composing these supplication prayers, and this is one of those supplication prayers. And there were different versions of it. There's extended versions, short versions, versions that have been done by one master, refined by another master, handed down lineage by year after year, generation by generation. And they have some beautiful names. The subtitles of the Calling the Guru from Afar are really wonderful. Let me give you one of them. Calling the Guru from Afar. A tormented whale, quickly drawing forth the blessing of the Guru, the inseparable one. Or calling the Guru from afar, a supplication to pierce your heart with devotion. Nice. And so there are these beautiful prayers, and I've taken to carrying them around with me and just opening them and reading different parts of them and enjoying them. I can give you those references as well if it's something that's interesting. I have to tell you, I was very surprised with some of what I found in this, because we in these prayers, there's quite a lot of very beautiful, almost like Kriya Yoga in here. So at one point, the supplicant asks, please bless me to arise as the divine body itself. Divine body itself. We don't associate a lot of talk about God or divinity with Buddhism often. We have this idea that Buddha didn't talk about God, but this beautiful prayer, bless me to arise as the divine body itself. And then the play of 4 joys and 4 emptinesses. And this is my favorite bit. Of the wind and mind, the wind and consciousness, absorbed in the central channel, which is really our practice of Kriya, isn't it? It is breath, the wind, and consciousness absorbed in the Sushumna, in the central channel. So very deep and profound and interesting things, and just shows how beautifully, path to many goal is one. So we're all one family, not to think that there's some big differences between us. In fact, once my wife, who's a teacher of Buddhism, she went to Nepal and she came back. She said she came back with this very beautiful tanka, hand-painted meditation art. And she said, I don't know why, but I just really felt this one was for you. I don't know anything about the deity. I really don't know anything at all. And so then I took some time to research about this deity. It's the deity of the central channel. So very beautiful, very wonderful. So that is sitting next to where I do my meditation. He's very beautiful. So we can learn from everybody. and everybody has something very beautiful for us. So this prayer, which is about what to do when your guru isn't physically with you, is very, very wonderful. And in one of the versions particularly, there is a really nice hint about what we should do when the guru is not physically with us. There's a particular section where the supplicant is saying, please guide me, O Guru, through all of the stages in this life, in future lives, and in the intermediate periods between lives. And then he starts saying, or he or she starts saying, thinking of how the actual form of all Buddhas arises in the form of the Guru, and mercifully guides me, I think of you, O Guru. Thinking of how you show the excellent, unmistaken path to me, an unfortunate, wretched being abandoned by all of the Buddhas, reminds me of you, O my Guru. Thinking of this excellent body, highly meaningful and difficult to obtain, and wishing to take its essence with choice, an unerring choice between gain and loss, happiness and suffering, reminds me of you, O Guru. Thinking of the experience of not knowing what to do, reminds me of you, O Guru. Thinking of the experience of just how suddenly separating from all goodness and perfection can happen in this life, I think of you, O Guru. Thinking of the experience of my naked body falling into terrifying fires of hell and being unable to bear it, I think of you, O Guru. Thinking of hunger and thirst without a drop of water, it reminds me of you, O Guru. Thinking of how repulsive and wretched it would be to be born in a lower realm, I think of you, O Guru. Thinking of bad states of mind reminds me of you, O Guru. Thinking of how black and white actions are experienced as separate, reminds me of you, Guru. Thinking of how there is a method to escape the prison of endless existence, it reminds me of you, O Guru. Thinking about the plight of all of my mothers reminds me of you. Thinking of my own mind reminds me of you. So, reading this, it gives us a beautiful idea. What is so beautiful is no matter what experience, any thought, any experience that is coming to the supplicant, it is reminding them of their precious and merciful Guru. This is very useful for us. Every experience that we're having should remind us of our Guru. We think about sitting to practice, it should remind us of our Guru. We should think, when we think about how hard it is to force ourselves to sit on the cushion, we think of the Guru. When we think of how we have to confront hard and difficult things in life and joys in life, we think of our Guru. Anything that happens, we're hungry, we think of our Guru. We're sad, we think of our Guru. We think of our own mind, we think of the Guru. So this beautiful prayer, which gives us such lovely hints about what to do when we're apart from the Guru, I think this is, for me, the most beautiful lesson. Whatever happens, when we leave this place and we go back and the rest of our regular life starts to crowd in, let us think of our Guru. This is, for me, one of the key takeaways of this beautiful prayer. There are also the way that, there are many different versions of this prayer, as I mentioned. The way that they finish is truly wonderful. And it is, in fact, the most important part of the prayer. So I'm going to give you a couple of different versions of how they finish, because I really want my mother over there to keep crying. Please bless me to be one with your three secrets, Guru, in the vast Buddha nature of great bliss, which has exhausted the elaborations of the two obscurations. In short, please abide inseparably in the center of my heart until the great enlightenment, and mercifully bless me, the child, to follow after you, the Father. Guru, think of me. Guru, think of me. Guru, think of me. So, I'll read you one more way that they conclude this beautiful prayer. we call on you, precious Guru. With longing we cry, O gracious Lord, have pity on us, for we have no hope but you. Bless us to see our minds are never two. This is the heart of the matter. What to do when the Guru appears to be distant from us? We have to pray and we have to remember we are really not separate from him. Our thoughts, our minds, our hearts are never two. This, I think, is the beautiful message of these masters. Don't leave the Guru out there. Bring him inside, feel him inside, live with him inside, and then you never have to feel that sense of separation or separateness. As Swamiji said to us in our day retreat, whenever we bring the seeker within, then the Guru also appears within. So let us always keep that seeker ready to jump forward within, and then the Guru cannot resist. The Guru will come every time. So there are some in Tibetan Buddhism, they have some really nice teachings about the Guru. And one of the things that they say about the Guru is they have this idea of perfect perception, which is the disciple should have perfect perception of the Guru, which is no matter what the Guru appears to be doing, the disciple needs to constantly remember the Guru is Buddha, the Guru is God, the Guru is perfect. There is nothing that the Guru does by accident, by mistake, by error. And so there's talk of, you may see your Guru drinking bourbon and dancing wildly under the moon, and even that is for your benefit. And it is said that it's constantly said in the tradition that this is not for the benefit of the Guru that we believe this, it's for our benefit. Because our deluded minds cannot see that perfection of the Guru. So we practice seeing it until actually that becomes awakened in us. So I enjoyed that. There's also this nice saying, which is there is no behind the picture of the Guru. So the Tibetans have no problem. Baba was telling us the other day that don't feel that these masters are just pictures. Feel that they're there. Physical presence is there. The Tibetan Buddhists also say the same thing about the Guru. But they also say there's no behind the picture. So you can't do anything in the... You can't, I don't know, stuff your face with chocolate behind the picture and think Guru's not seeing. One can't speak harshly to other people when we go to the office. The Guru is seeing us even then. We cannot pretend to be holy and think that the Guru is not seeing us. The Guru, there is no behind the picture. Very practically, let me tell you, if you feel lonely for the Guru, I'll tell you a practice that I have done in times in my life when I have felt lonely for the Guru. I have sat in front of the picture and I have spoken to him as though he's there, and I have implored him and I have demanded of him and I have poured out my heart to him. And it really helps a lot, and one really feels that Baba is listening. And so let me tell you two stories about Baba listening. Somebody once asked Shri Guruji, Baba, you say that you'll pray for everybody. How do you remember to pray for all of the people that you say you'll pray for? And this has been reported to me, so I did not hear this. It was reported to me that Guruji said, if someone is praying, if one of the devotees and disciples are praying, I hear them, and I remember, and I pray. So if you want to talk to your Guru, you can do it very easily. We can pray. And time and time again, we're told by the scriptures, by the devotees, and by our own experiences that they're listening. In my own life, you remember there was a time when Baba was on electronic. There's glory days when Baba was on electronic communications. And I was having a very difficult day. And I was in the midst of receiving a series of quite hurtful messages from a family member. It was very, it was a difficult time. And then all of a sudden, bing, message comes in. Guruji, how is my Vishaal Baba? And everything's fine, Baba, thank you. And then about half an hour later, I thought, why did I lie? Why wasn't I truthful? So I wrote back, I said, Baba, I'm sorry. When you messaged me, I wasn't doing well. This had all happened, and I told him everything. And then he said some words to me that I won't repeat to you now, but I will go to my grave remembering those words. So the Guru, whether or not we know, the Guru is in touch with us inside. So we can have that faith. We see it time and time again. How often does he answer one of your questions when he's giving a talk that you never asked? How often does he say something to you or write something to you now, just as you were thinking, oh, he hasn't told me anything about X or Y? I thought I would share with you one other story that I started telling you about that flooded retreat in India. And let me tell you a bit more of the hilarity and the insanity of that. So I think I told you, some Purnanandama had come in one morning. Well, I hope you're all relaxed. The bridge has gone. Many people have died. Where next? And so So then, different people have different reactions to this sort of thing. Some people start praying. Some people start crying. Some people get very rajasic and start trying to pack things and repack things and unpack them and repack them again. And like these sorts of things are all happening around. And that Uttakashi ashram is on the bank of Mother Ganga. And Ma is coming closer to the ashram, eating the flower beds essentially. Coming up, coming up, coming up. And that is the risk, that's the thing everybody's concerned about, that the ashram is just going to get eaten by Ma. Now, we don't have any phone, I have, my Telstra Australian phone, which supposedly works everywhere all the time, but it wasn't working, and so, but one person had a phone that worked, and they used that phone to get in touch with Guruji. And this was, I think we had a very uncertain night's sleep where at any moment we could have had to run up the mountain. And so then this is the second day of unknowing, of uncertainty about life or something. And so somebody had managed to get in touch with Guruji. And Guruji said, look, I am with you, I am praying. You all go and meditate. So we were to have a 3-hour meditation in the middle of the day. So we all went in to meditate. And it's pelting down with rain. And somebody's got to look out on Mother Ganga trying to make sure that, yeah. So we go and meditate, and it was a very beautiful meditation. Many people reported having very special experiences around that meditation. Not to worry about what they are, but just many people had that experience. And then we all came out, drunkenly coming out of the meditation hall, just kind of completely blissed out after 3 hours. And my friends, Mother Ganga has changed direction. She's literally, not only has she changed